You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
This was a good win to get under your belt. And like for people saying the Giants are trash, yes, I would generally agree. But what we've also said is they're a tough out, and they proved that against certain teams. And, like 3 days ago, the line was Giants catching points. That's like the sharpest play. It's the sharpest play of the board. I heard a couple people say that. Well, then don't say on Monday morning that the Eagles didn't beat anybody.
Are you impressed? Are you entertained? The Eagles beat the Giants 28-3, but a lot of people, it's only the Giants. Should you be more impressed by this Eagles win over the Giants? And where do we put them in the pantheon? We were going through the teams, Colin Thompson. How many teams right now would you say are definitively better than Philadelphia? When I just say the name, and you can say either yes they are or no they're not, how many of those teams would you say are better than Philadelphia, who stands at 4-2, an impressive win? By the way, let's get your take on that, Colin. Was it an impressive win? Were you impressed with the 28-3 win over the Giants on Sunday?
I'll be impressed, Mike, when next week they come out with the same game plan and they really just don't care. They say, we're going to line up. We're going to put two tight ends in the game. We're going to put a tight end in the game. We're going to be creative and bring a linebacker in to play fullback. We're going to make it really easy for Jalen Hurts. And the problem is everyone's like, oh, easy. Jalen can't process. Yes, Jalen missed some wide open plays yesterday and throws. Mark Sanchez was going over one on Cowherd, the normal mesh pattern they run where guys have been running wide open. Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. He just missed it. He was locked in on Gainwell and just missed the guy coming right into his vision. So he's still growing as a quarterback, which, right, is a part of the game and still a little concerning for being so high paid. But to your point, Mike, I'll be impressed next week when they come out with the same game plan of we are going to run the ball. And we don't care about it. We're going to take simple out route throws, just like Tampa did against Philly, right? And we don't care about it. And then, when the game gets hard, our best players got to show up. And that's what I thought it was. Instead of, when you watch the Eagles offensively, it's constantly, it's our best players got to play great. A.J. Brown, deep balls, and, all these, hard plays when it's man, some of these teams make it look easy with a lot less talent, i.e. Tampa. So at the end of the day, they can line up and play and beat anybody in this league, but it just hasn't been pretty since the Super Bowl, like I've echoed on this show multiple times. And then defensively, Mike, I was impressed. I thought what they did against that front, that O-line, that's pretty good, even though they're missing their best player, the right tackle there. I liked Nolan Smith. I liked Dean. I think Bond's been a great player this year. I think their defense is only going to get better. They have the right people on the back end. I like the way they're using DeJean in the punt return game, coming in on third down. So I think a lot of positive trending things for the defense that has way less talent than how good that offense is being. I think that's why we're a little unsettled about the Eagles.
All right, yesterday I asked this question. Where is this team without Saquon Barkley?
Great question. I think they're probably still where they are. I do. I'm not saying Saquon's not one of the best. He's probably the best running back in Eagles history, player. I'm not saying the most accomplished, Brian Westbrook, all these great players. I'm just saying he's the best player in that position ever to play for the Eagles. Has to be. At least in my Deuce was great, but Saquon's just ridiculously good. I'm I think they're right where they are. I guess I have to go through and see what it was. But Miles Sanders, good football player, hasn't done a ton in Carolina, behind a pretty good offensive line, actually. Gainwell's having success. They've always found ways to run the ball well with multiple backs. Swift had a great year last year. So that's not disrespectful to Saquon. That just shows you how good Stoutland and the run game are. He's huge for that team. He makes them explosive. I think they need to get under center, hand the ball off, simplify the football game. And literally, that's not a negative on Jalen. That's just how teams are winning in the league, especially when you're missing Mailata and different pieces on your line.
Let me ask you this then. So do you watch Jalen Hurts and say this guy has regressed to the point where he's a game manager? And is that a negative term or not?
I think he's the same he was before. That first year he struggled a little bit with the deep ball. He's pretty active with deep ball. I mean, there's a lot of deep balls that get completed for the Eagles. Let's be real. Now, he has great receivers.
Well, it seems like, I'll say this. it seems that the easy pitch and catch is not his forte. He doesn't feel as comfortable with something over the middle or a quick out. He feels better taking a shot down the field.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think like subjectively, like pure football. When I watch him like on the simple plays, he makes those out routes to A.J. Brown. Like, is that being coached, or is that a part of their option? Like, I thought if you go back to the Bucs game, they were taking free access throws, meaning the DBs are 6 to 10 yards off. No matter what the play is, it could be a run the other direction. The quarterback's going to abort the play and just throw the hitch or throw the out route. And we're going to take the 5-6 yards and get it to 2nd and 4 and 5. And I thought the Eagles did that this week. He can make those throws. It's not like he's inaccurate. It's not like he's sailing the ball. Like sometimes with McNabb back in the day, he would rifle that over a guy's head, right? And you'd be like, oh, what the heck, Donovan? You're like really good player. So Jalen can make a lot of throws. I think the plate's overloaded. It's like, watch Derek Carr. He's handed now again. They're dinged up, and that Saints team was on fire, and he got hurt. It's like hand outside zone, pitch it to Taysom Hill, do this, do that, just like quote unquote game manager to your point. And then when we need you to take a shot downfield, it's an advantageous situation because we've been running the ball so well. So like your whole line is highly invested in. Let's just pound the rock and then get the tight ends block and get the new fullback in there and then build the play action pass off of it. If I was a betting man, Mike, I would hammer that fullback to score a touchdown. Hammer him over the next couple of weeks. $5 probably wins you $1,000.
Colin Thompson is with us, of course, has been in plenty of training camp situations where you go over game plans. When you look at this offense, if you're sitting in that room and the offensive coordinator is trying to put a game plan together, what is this team's offensive game plan? What is their offensive identity?
I have no idea. And I think that's why we're concerned as a either media base or a fan base. We don't know what it is. I think defensively we know what it is. But they can play some ball now. Like, yeah, okay, you missed some tackles. That's the NFL. That's football, right? These guys carrying the ball now are really good, and it's advantageous for defensive players now with penalties and all that stuff. We get all that. But I think this week we saw an identity. We were going to line up with big people, and we were going to double team. And Dickerson had a great game, and I thought that this week I told a guy in the gym today down here in Annapolis, Mike. He's a big Eagles fan. He played rugby at Villanova. He's like my Philly guy, and he was only a elliptical on my way out of the gym today. And he said, "What's the identity?" I said, "We'll know next week, because if they could do it week to week, I believe in this, Mike. And good football teams do this. You stop us. Yes, we'll coach and add wrinkles and all that stuff." But at the end of the day, this is what we do. You stop us, and then we'll have a wrinkle off of it. I don't like week-to-week teams changing. Oh, they ran this play and beat the Giants. Now we're going to go run that play. So if they come out next week, Mike, and say we're going to have a fullback, tight ends, and run the rock and take easy, simple throws, like to your point, they're going to separate themselves out of the muck of the NFC. And they're going to pop up into that upper echelon tier.
All right. A lot of people have been texting in. We asked the question, all right, if I'm going to give you a team, and is Philly definitively better or worse? Kansas City.
Oh, worse. I mean.
Okay. No, that's what I'm saying. If you can give a quick definitive. If you can give a quick.
They're the best team in the league, and it's not even close.
Okay. If you can give a quick definitive answer, I think that tells us. Detroit.
Okay. Worse.
Minnesota.
Worse.
So you think it's definitively worse than Minnesota?
Yeah, we know what Minnesota is. Playing great defense, and offensively, you got your hands full.
Okay. Washington.
Equal.
Houston.
Worse.
Baltimore.
Worse.
Buffalo.
Equal.
Pittsburgh.
Equal.
Green Bay. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I would say I would give it to Philly.
They beat Green Bay. Green Bay seems, if they played again, Green Bay looks a little bit more polished right now. Chicago.
The whole NFC North is 4-2. They're better than Chicago, probably just because I think their D-line and their defense can play with that offense.
All right, so they're all the teams that are 4-2 or better. Yeah.
They're
of this
fifth
group
in the NFC, Mike. Right?
Yeah, they're right there. So one of the things all right, you just kind of rattled them off. So a lot of people say, yeah, they're in the top 10, but they think it's the coach that holds them back. So if you had a Matt LaFleur, a Sean McVay, or a Stefanski, or somebody that's more offensive polish, would we think of this Eagles team differently?
I think it's results based. I think the fact that he's responsible for the offense, he's an offensive guy, and your offense, as his best player, Lane Johnson, one of the Eagles' best players of all time, said the offense is constipated. Not him. That's your best player saying that. So that's concerning to me. Like, why isn't it clicking? And you have that talent. So the $1 million question, is it Kellen? It's the same offense as last year. I think they got him under center more, which is great for the Philadelphia Eagles. So recently, right? So, Mike, it's $1 million question. No one knows it. No one knows it. Is it Nick's offense? I think to me, there's a holistic or organizational buy-in of this is what we want for Jalen to do. Okay, now you go do it. Coordinator X, Y, or Z, and then Nick's going to support it. I think that would be my gut.
All right. Well, you played for Matt Rule, and then Wilkes took over there. Both of them. Wilkes is a defensive-minded guy.
Matt's like an everything.
Yeah,
guy.
I was going to say he's more of a CEO kind of head coach. Matt would be. So did the offense or defenses change when the coach changed?
Yes. We obnoxiously ran the ball when Coach Rule left, and Coach Rule is a run the ball, stop the run guy. But we were operating under the ilk of like, you know what, we're not getting fired, everyone's good, right? We knew it was coming, but like we knew we weren't playing well. Let me say that, but we were trying to run a normal offense in the league, right? 50-50 balance. I mean, there was times there we ran the ball probably 15 times in a row. We went up and beat Seattle, who was like way better than us and doing great. Went to Seattle when Coach Rule got fired, and we beat the heck out of them, like on the road. So like it's a mindset of like, that's what I'm saying for the Eagles. And I said it in my social media clip last week on my show. When they won the Super Bowl, it was the big bad Eagles. Like it's not to be rah-rah and frou-frou, but it's like, we got the dudes. People are dying, Mike. You talk about on your show to find healthy O-linemen. The Eagles roll in with Fred Johnson, who they've stashed on the bottom of the roster, and he's playing great. Like, you can roll in offensive linemen off the street. People would die for that. So my point is, get under center, run the football under center, build a play action pass package off of it. That's 50% of your it's 75% of your offense. On third down, keep running that mesh play till people stop it. Right? People crossing, and the Val's Goddard, Smith, they've all hit it for big ones. And then on first down, if they're giving you free access on the sideline, Jalen, abort the play, rip it to A.J. Brown for 6 yards. Like, watch the teams that have success in this league, other than Kansas City. Baltimore runs 5 plays. 5 plays. And I get at the beginning of the year, I'm down here in Baltimore. Oh, the O-line's horrible. Now all of a sudden they're good. Why? Because they run the ball and they have play action pass. And you're paying these high-paid edge rushers to say you can't rush the passer anymore, because if you do, you're going to get kicked. You're going to get kicked out by a guard. And I don't run it on, Mike, but it's like, when are they just going to do it? I saw it against the Giants. I'd love to see them do it next week.
Who would you say is the best offensive coach that you have played for?
Oh, wow.
In other words, that guy, do you see a difference playing for the guy that you deem to be, man, this guy was the most innovative, creative, as opposed to, I mean, you've been in New York, Minnesota, Chicago, obviously Carolina.
I'll go through them. I was with Ben McAdoo. Love Ben. He's a hard-nosed, physical, run-the-ball power. Like, Ben was awesome. He's with Patriots as like a senior consultant. I was with Joe Brady. Joe Brady was more like, we're going to go straight line runs, or we're going to pick a matchup with our receiver and throw it to him. You can kind of see it in Buffalo now, right? It's like kind of coming together there, how Joe's kind of turned it around.
He's the OC in Buffalo now.
I mean, I've worked with some great guys.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think it's a slight on somebody, right? It's not a slight on somebody, but some guys are just like more creative or just a little bit have better intuition than somebody else.
Some are like, we're going to motion and shift the heck out of teams and make them line up. Look at Ben Johnson in Detroit. But they only, like the Shanahan system, Mike, that's what drives me crazy. They run the same plays. They just add a different motion and a shift to it. That's it.
All right, so you got McAdoo. You got McAdoo,
so
Brady.
To me, the Eagles have like McAdoo, Brady. Let's go. Matt Nagy, Frank Smith, who's the OC of Miami. We'll go through it quick. Giants was Ben McAdoo. Bears was he was now the OC for Miami. Then the next year was Matt Nagy and Mark Helfrich, Oregon.
Yep.
Then the next year, XFL, I was with Mark Trestman. I thought Mark was genius,
Wow.
former lawyer.
Well, former
great
head coach and a
offensively.
good
Learned
head
a ton
coach
from
too,
him.
by the way.
Yeah. And won a ton in the CFL. And then I was with, I was with Jeff Nixon, who's the OC at Syracuse. And then I was with, he was our interim when Joe Brady got fired. And then I was with, of course, everything going on in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, Wes Phillips, Brian Angelico is a big mind. All those guys in Minnesota, Mike, they're all going to get poached. There's no way they're all going to be there next year.
Yeah.
Like the coordinators on offense and defense, they're all going to be gone. Like they're just like the Rams got gutted.
Yep.
And then you got to rehire. That's what's going to happen there.
All
Just
right.
like New England, those great places of great coaches.
You mentioned offensive lineman
We'll
getting
see,
hurt.
Mike. Identity. I want to see identity. Where the Birds got the team to do it. What's up, Mike?
You're talking about all the offensive linemen. How about all the receivers getting hurt right now? My gosh.
I know, Mike. We need some tight ends to go, brother. But hey, it is what it is.
Well, you got a hater out there. This gentleman who when I referred to you as free agent tight end, he says stop calling him a free agent. He's never playing again. Said he needs a couple tight ends to get hurt.
That's it, man. Sorry, hater.
Yeah.
I know you probably think I suck, but I actually got a couple texts today from two different organizations. So, hater, sorry, pal.
Well, I try to explain to him,
Just checking in. See ya.
Yeah. Well, you're still a young guy.
Yeah,
you could get to
trying,
call
buddy.
it. You could be the next Kareem Hunt. You're just sitting around. No one calls and say, "Why didn't anybody else call this guy?"
I guarantee you, I will not be rushing for like 75 yards and leading my fantasy team to victory like Kareem Hunt. Sorry.
All right. Well, check out the Colin Thompson Show, Sirius XM NFL Radio, and, of course, right here on the Sports Bash. I was on the Colin Thompson Show this morning. You could check that out on all social media platforms. Great. And we talked a lot of Eagles. We broke down a little bit more about the game and the different things in this offense. So check out that pod, and he'll be back next week. Eagles-Bengals. Got a thought on that matchup?
Yeah, I want to see the Eagles come out. I don't care who they play and say, this is what we're going to be. This is who we are. It doesn't even matter who. Nameless, faceless opponents. This is what we are. This is what we are. And Jalen's going to make a big play. That's what they were when they went to the Super Bowl. It was like, this is who we are. We're not going to apologize for it. And then eventually Jalen's going to break free, slip off somebody, make a great throw, win a game. That's what I want to see, Mike.
Well, that matchup is
big game for the Bengals.
Yep, I was going to say that matchup's an interesting one.
Closer here. Yeah, the deadline's getting closer here. So we'll see what happens.
All right, everybody, Colin Thompson here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. All right, man, we'll talk to you next week.
You're the best, Mike. Thanks.